What's up squad, it's ESO here with another Elder Scrolls 6 news video. I've been waiting a few weeks now to actually put this video together for you guys to watch, but now it's finally here. In this video we're going to be talking about where the Elder Scrolls 6 will actually be based. And right now, based on the current leaked information we have, it is actually looking like the Elder Scrolls 6 will be based in Valenwood, located just here on the map of Tamriel. And later in the video I'll be telling you lots about Valenwood and what you can expect the game to look like, because this is a very new environment that we've never really encountered before. And it also gives us lots of interesting opportunities for different quest lines, one which is very like the Civil War in Skyrim. And also the architecture of the area is going to be really interesting. If you're a Star Wars fan, just picture the Ewok settlement. But anyway guys, first let's start off with the leaked information that led to this convincing discovery. Now this is a rather strange one, but let me explain the story behind it so you can understand how legit this may in fact be. So rather a long time ago, when we were all digging for news about Fallout 4, this particular memo surfaced. This memo was in fact posted in 2014, so that's like 2 years ago. It was posted on Reddit, I think some YouTubers actually reported on it, and this memo was basically splattered across the entire internet in 2014. I'll put a link down below in the description to one of the 2014 posts so you can see it for yourself, but if you just search the memo it will come up and you can confirm it yourself. So when this leak did surface back in 2014, many of us, including myself, thought it was fake for many reasons. In fact, I didn't even make a video on it. I just thought, oh yeah, that's probably just some bogus rumour someone's made up. And I'm not going to go into too much detail here about why I think it was fake at the time. But basically, this memo was addressed to all Bethesda employees. Specifically, it says, and I quote, "Please be aware that you are prohibited from using and/or referencing the following terms." And then it goes on to list these terms, which are as follows: Fallout, Fallout 4, Fallout Nuka World, Boston Project, Elder Scrolls 6, and finally Project Greenheart. So any employees that do mention these terms stated in that list there will receive disciplinary action. So if any employee leaks that information, they could potentially lose their job, or at least get a severe warning. So firstly, let's talk about the legitimacy of this article. The part that really stands out, of course, is that it confirms that Fallout 4 is to be set in Boston, but this was already a well-known rumour at the time. The biggest one is the confirmation of the Nuka World DLC that nobody knew about. So let me just make that clear, nobody had ever heard of Nuka World until this leak came out in 2014. And at the time, because no one knew about it, everyone just thought that sounded silly. And some people would like, oh, Nuka World, that sounds like a really weird place for a DLC, like, it must be fake. But lo and behold, very recently, Nuka World was released, right now in 2016. So a good 2 years before anybody knew about it, it was on this memo, on this piece of paper. So now that a few things on this piece of paper have been proven to be true, it does make you wonder, what else here is going to be true? The main one here on this article is the Elder Scrolls 6, and specifically Project Greenheart. But before I talk to you about this, I just want to quickly summarise whether this document is legit or not. There are a few reasons one may be skeptical. Firstly, it has some grammar errors. But hey, I'm a dyslexic architect, so I don't think that's really cause to disapprove it. We also have the letterhead of this memo that shows us the logos of Bethesda, who are the creators of the Elder Scrolls and some of the Fallout series, and then Bethesda Softworks, the publisher company, and then finally we have ZeniMax, the creator of the Elder Scrolls Online. Now this could strike some people as a little bit odd, but actually it does make a lot of sense that ZeniMax are here, because obviously considering the lore that went into the Elder Scrolls Online, and all the weapons and armour that were developed, and also the art style and the concept of what the land looked like and how they visualised that, was very much a part of the game. And I think we'll definitely expect to see these same lore masters and even story writers to be collaborating on the Elder Scrolls 6 game. There's also the point that The Elder Scrolls Legends was another game that has recently come out, but I do not think that it would have been titled The Elder Scrolls 6 or Project Greenheart for reasons that I'm going to go into detail for later. But one thing is that the title is way too specific to suggest that it was talking about The Elder Scrolls Legends, and it just wouldn't make sense. Also, The Elder Scrolls Legends is a card game, not a new RPG in the Elder Scrolls series. And it's also worth mentioning that The Elder Scrolls Legends may not have even been thought up as an idea yet 2 years ago. But those are the main points that make me seem a little bit skeptical, but most of these thoughts are just crushed by my next point. But I do think the main argument here that this document is legit is the fact that it tells us about Nuka World all the way back in 2014. Now, whether this document is fake or not, the fact still remains that in this list is Nuka World and it was first stated here. So what this means is that this document is either 100% legitimate, so it's completely real and everything on this piece of paper is true, or assuming the memo was fake, the person who made it would have actually had to have invented the Nuka World name, and then Bethesda would have had to decide that they wanted to name the last Fallout 4 DLC Nuka World as well, and that seems literally impossible for both of those things to happen. So the last possibility is that Bethesda saw this post and decided to fool us all by naming their downloadable content after this memo rumour, but I highly doubt that, especially considering how long it would have taken to develop the concept of Nuka World and develop it to its finished state that we all played recently. So in conclusion, I think that this document is in fact legit. Now let's just go back quickly and look at the wording here, because The Elder Scrolls 6 and Project Greenheart are listed as separate things, and I've seen some people get confused about this, so I'm pointing out for that reason. But the reason for this is actually quite obvious. As I said before, this document is just a memo to all employees telling them that they are prohibited to talk about or reference these terms, not games. This is not a list of separate games you're not allowed to mention, it's just a list of terms that you're not allowed to mention. So this doesn't mean that The Elder Scrolls 6 and Project Greenheart are two separate things. It actually provides more convincing evidence that the two are in fact related. Another thing that supports this argument is if you look historically at video game developers and then Bethesda specifically, they will usually give a code name to their franchises. This means that the developers can talk about things and discuss them without information being leaked completely. So for example, with Fallout 4, the codename was The Institute. So the term Project Greenheart could in fact refer to the project name of The Elder Scrolls 6. All Bethesda codenames in the past have always been related to the game that they refer to. And this leads me on to discuss The Elder Scrolls 6 Valenwood with you, and why I'm so excited about it, because Valenwood itself just seems like an incredible place to have the next Elder Scrolls game. Let me tell you why. So firstly, Project Greenheart in fact refers to a major town located within Valenwood, and that gives away the location of the game. Valenwood is located here on the map in the southwestern province of Tamriel. It's southwest from Cyrodiil, where the game Oblivion was based, and it's right next to the Abyssinian Sea. And now I'm going to give you a background on what Valenwood is like, and I'm going to try and paint a picture for you to describe it. This location itself is so very interesting, and it's going to be really difficult for me to summarize it in just one video, so I'll probably make a follow-up video to this where we'll talk about the potential quest ideas, political wars that could be going on, unique weapons that we could find, spells, and also there's some really interesting potential new races and creatures that we can meet. Like for example in Skyrim we had the Nordic dungeons, and they were full of Draugr. In Valenwood you're going to have Aelid ruins, and these are full of a completely different kettle of fish. So make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so that you can keep up to date with that new video when it comes out. So Valenwood itself is home to the Bosmer, also known to most people as the Wood Elves. There has also been a strong influence of Altmer or High Elves and Khajiit in the area of Valenwood, but it's the main home to several Wood Elf tribes that are scattered across the province. So much like in Skyrim where we had the homeland of the Nords, Valenwood is the homeland of the Wood Elves. Now, Wood Elves themselves are very interesting. They're definitely one of the most exciting races, and they have the most unique architecture in the Elder Scrolls universe. This is because of the Green Pact, which forbids the harm of trees or plant life for the Wood Elves' own benefits. And as you can imagine, this also affects their dire and weaponry construction, so we should definitely see the return of bone weapons and armour in Valenwood. And I also think there'll be more of an emphasis on hunting, because the Bosmer are forced to make most of their weapons out of bone, so we'll probably see the return of bone armour and bone weaponry. Obviously it won't be dragon bone though. The Green Pact also dictates that only meat can be consumed by Bosmer. So in Bosmer culture, what this means is that Wood Elves will often fast before battle, and then upon killing their enemy, they will feast upon them. Often the Bosmer will actually organise cannibalistic family feasts after great battles between clans. The Wood Elves are undoubtedly one of the most savage races in Tamriel. Now let's talk about the environment of Valenwood, because a lot of people seem to think that it's just a large forest, and in fact you couldn't be more wrong. One of my favourite looking areas is the south coast, where the town of Greenheart is in fact located. So the south coast is just here on the map, and the area is home to impenetrable mangrove woodland and coastal rainforests. Just picture lots of water and boggy terrain. There's going to be a real misty, murky sort of atmosphere here. It really is quite similar to Blackmarsh, but in fact the different environments change as we move forward. Because to the north we have the grasslands of Valenwood that are often referred to as the Sea of Endless Green. The foliage here is said to be like a maze, with half-hidden cities growing within, like blooms from a flower. Indeed, many of the Bosmer cities can actually be compared to nature. They're all organic, as the Bosmer can only use materials that have been imported, and not from Valenwood. And then even further north from that, the terrain changes again as we reach the borders of the north reaches of Valenwood. The area is dry like a savanna and covered in rocky terrain and dry plains. As you can imagine, the architecture changes dramatically from south to north. In fact, one of my favourite concepts is the great capital of Valenwood, Valenesti. This city is unlike any other in the Elder Scrolls universe. The city is a walking city of great oaks, whose very magic was invoked at the very dawn of recorded history. So it's been here since the creation of Nirn. And this is where the Bosmer king rules over the province from the Camoran throne. The city moves across Valenwood all the way from north to south along the coast. Now, according to lore, the great city moves across Valenwood in accordance to the seasons. And in fact, if you play the Elder Scrolls Online, which is based during the Second Era, you might actually recognise that you can visit the various seasonal sites of the walking city. During the history of the city though, it's actually disappeared at one point and even stopped walking at times. I could speculate for hours about this moving city, how it would work in the mechanics of the game, but I don't think I'd have time just in this one video. So let's move on, because we're also going to be seeing the return of the Aelid ruins from Oblivion. Now the Aelids were in fact a race, and their ruins are the ruins of a dying race of ancient elves that sought refuge within Valenwood after Empress Alyssa drove them from Cyrodiil in the First Era. Now there is literally so much history to cover in this one video, but if the Elder Scrolls 6 is in fact based in Valenwood, and it does seem like there is a good chance that this is true, my next question would be that, what time period is it based? Because it has a very interesting history, and if we knew the time period, we could figure out what the storyline would be like. If you guys did enjoy the Civil War questline in Skyrim, and it was quite an influential point of the story, you'll definitely enjoy Valenwood, because so many wars have transpired here. Firstly, there's the War of the Blue Divide, where the High Elves of Somerset Isles were at war with the Wood Elves of Valenwood. Or there's the Cold War against the Empire, and of course we also have the Old Mary Dominion. There are several wars that revolve around Valenwood. This makes it just so rich for stories. And truly the Bosmer lore, and in fact just the different Bosmer clans, are all so interesting and different as well. And there have been wars between them as well, so I can definitely see something really interesting happening in Valenwood. if the game is based there. Oh, and in terms of when The Elder Scrolls 6 could potentially be released, I would put it somewhere in 2020, because if you look at the history of releases from Bethesda, we have Morrowind in 2002, Oblivion in 2006, and then Fallout 3 came out in 2008, and then we had Skyrim in 2011, and more recently we had Fallout 4 in 2015. So most likely we will see a 2019 or 2020 release, based on those numbers. But obviously that does depend on what the studio is up to, because as they've been increasing in popularity, they have been pumping out more and more interesting games recently. And I think that we're going to see other big names before we receive more news on the Elder Scrolls game. As you know, Bethesda love giving big reveals close to a release. But just make sure you stay subscribed and stay tuned to this channel for any leaks up until then. There's so much potential here, guys. I've not even talked about enemies, tree spirits, and the significant gods within the Bosma culture, or the Daedric influences you can expect in this area. But if you're interested in watching the next Valenwood video, guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and you can also check out the links below in the video description after that video's uploaded. And of course, guys, please do like the video if you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and again, thanks for all your support, guys. My name is ESO, and I will see you, loyal subscriber, in the next Elder Scrolls 6 speculation video. Goodbye and have a fantastic day. Don't forget that you can receive text and or email notifications from my channel every time I release a new video. Underneath the video, just hit subscribe and then hit the bell next to it. You will now get notified as soon as I release a new video. Welcome to the ESO squad, guys.